Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I've got my pride and joy, my Land Rover Series 3, also known as Sean, and today I'm going to tell you everything about it and why I decided to buy one. So I bought this car back in 2019 and I always wanted to have a classic car. I'd saved up all my money from my apprenticeship and I had the choice between either buying a Mark 1 Golf GTI convertible or a Land Rover Series 3. Now my brother had got a Defender at the time and he absolutely loved it, and we sort of patrolled eBay, Facebook Marketplace, you name it, car and classics, and we went and viewed quite a few different Land Rovers, but I really wanted a marine blue one, and it took me quite a while to find the perfect example, which was petrol, marine blue, and this one came along, and we went up to the Peak District and I just had to have it. I absolutely loved it. We get a lot of questions on the wheels and tyre setup of Sean. So I'm running 7.5 16 security tyres, which are great because they really fill the arches and they're really chunky, so they make it look really aggressive. They're also great for green laning, off-roading, which I like to do, and it's perfect for that. Also paired with the tyres are these limestone enamelled rims, which again pop, they look really good. And then I finished that off with stainless steel wheel nuts, and then also a stainless steel exhaust from SS Customs. Now that sounds brilliant and was a huge upgrade on the standard exhaust, which had pretty much rusted away and didn't sound very good. This thing, when you rev it, sounds fantastic. Another modification I've done to Sean is the swing away tailgate, which you don't usually see on a lot of Land Rover Series 3s. When I first got this car, it was a van with the windows, almost like a station wagon. Now for me, when I fit the canvas and drive around this car with no roof on at all, the big traditional door wouldn't work. So I went for the swing away. As I love to take my dog out in this car, he likes to jump in and out of it. And with the swing away tailgate like this, it makes it a lot easier to get things in and out of. The traditional tailgates with the cat flap door drop down like that, so to get in and out of the car, if you're carrying friends or family or whatever, it's not the easiest. So that's why I went for the swing away tailgate. This cost me £40 off Facebook Marketplace, would you believe it? And it's great. With a little bit of refinement and adjusting, simply just lock it shut and away you go. What I love about this car is it's so practical. I literally use it, helped my friend the other day, we went and cut some logs, chuck them all in, it does the job, it's brilliant. And that's what's so good about this car. It also was supplied by Roofers Cars Limited, which is quite cool to have the original dealer plate on there. I've also fitted this chrome number plate light as well, which has started to rust away a little bit, which is a bit disappointing, but they're not hugely expensive and they do look quite nice. Again, the canvas hood from Exmoor trim, so in the summer you can roll the sides up, so if I was doing a slightly longer drive and was a bit cautious about it getting rained on, you can roll all the sides up and they look great. If you come around this way, you can also see that I went for the canvas with the side windows, so that just gives you a little bit more visibility, which I really like. And then also some more canvas on the car, which are these Exmoor trim canvas door cards. Now I really like those. Another thing I did was the anti-burst door latches, which are great. They really keep the doors nice and shut. And then also I bought these Britpart door handles, but then I had these trimmed in leather, and that's a really nice touch. It just makes it feel a little bit more refined and a little bit more luxurious in a really utilitarian car. Some more upgrades I've done to the car were these small wing mirrors. Now they look great, they're really cool, but they're completely useless. Originally it had the much bigger Defender style ones on and they were really practical, but I wasn't a huge fan of how they looked. Also a new galvanized bumper, added that to the car. I've also done these Thomas Performance LED headlights. Now they are fantastic, they're so bright. If I show you here, you'll see those on now, and they really do enhance the light because the standard bulbs on these were terrible. I've also upgraded the grille. This is an original 1980 OEM grille from Land Rover and I absolutely love how that looks. I've also added these chrome recovery eyes and they're brilliant as well. Another modification I did was put the spare tyre on the bonnet. Now you can put that on the bulkhead in the back, but for me, I absolutely love the overland camel trophy look of the tyre on the bonnet and it just looks great for me. Looking out over it, which I'll show you in a second from the driver's seat, you really feel like you're driving a Willys Jeep in World War II or on a real adventure, and it's great. Inside the Land Rover Series 3, it's actually quite luxurious compared to the predecessors. So the Land Rover Series 1, go check out my review on that vehicle I did. this car has got a lot more comfort and refinement, as mad as that sounds. So come on in and I'll tell you all about it. So the Series 3 has much thicker padded vinyl seats, which are great. And then you've also got the vinyl dash all the way across the top. Now this was the first introduction to Land Rovers to have this vinyl dash and brought a new sense of modern comfort. But other than that, you are literally left with the typical Land Rovers, tough, rugged, utilitarian, and built to conquer any terrain. Now we're inside the Land Rover, I'm going to tell you about the gearbox and what do these red and yellow levers do. So the gearbox, 4-speed, which to be honest with you, the throws are actually quite nice. A lot of people say a Land Rover gearbox is terrible, but you just have to get used to it, and once you do, they're really quite easy to drive. These levers down at the bottom are to engage 4-wheel drive and low range. So that's when you're doing real off-roading and you want to crawl up something really steep, or you're going through some really thick mud. That's when you engage those, and this car, I can guarantee you, will get through pretty much anything. Because it's so light and nimble, this car's such a good off-roader, and why it was so successful with campaigns in the Amazon, across Africa. There's probably not many places in the world that a Series 3 hasn't been. Sat in the back of the Land Rover, you can see some more modifications that I've made. I've added these 2-seater bench seats, so these allow me to carry 4 more additional people in this car, and they're actually not too bad. You do feel every single bump because you're right on the axle here, but they are practical, and if it's so good to take your friends to the pub in, you have such a good time. I've also fitted this Exmoor trim bulkhead storage, and that's really useful because I keep things like a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, tools, anything that you really need when going on a longer drive in a classic car. It's just such a nice place to stuff things away. It's out of the way and it's really good. Why did I end up choosing this over the Golf GTI then? Well, a big factor was budget. I only had £6,000 to spend. Now I say only, and that was a huge amount of money for me. That was my whole savings, but that's all I could afford. And to get into a classic car for around about that price point is really quite difficult. I went and saw so many, and that's such a good tip for anyone looking for a classic car. Go and look at as many as possible and make sure that you buy one that's the most structurally solid possible. The bulkhead on these and the chassis are the key things you need to look out for. Stay away from rust. If you see rust, hit it with a hammer. Make sure that you know that's solid, because otherwise you're going to end up costing so much money on getting chassis swaps, bulkhead replacements, or at the least welding, and all those things add up if you can't do that yourself. Another good thing about the Series 3 is that you don't need a gym membership with one of these, because this front bonnet is so heavy to lift up with that spare tyre on the top. Some of the modifications I've done to the engine and engine bay area are upgraded radiator, so changed that out from the old one, and that majorly improved cooling and performance of this car. Also changed the head gasket, again another upgrade it needed, and it's just part of general maintenance, and that made a big difference. And then the best thing I've done on this car is here, the Weber carburettor. That has been an incredible modification to this car over the previous carburettor it had on it, and I would highly recommend that for any of you Land Rover owners out there. Also put a brand new Yatsauer battery on. Again, fantastic. I have no issue starting this car in the winter. Starts on the key with a little bit of choke, fantastic. Another thing I've done, electronic ignition. Absolutely love that. That's a huge factor in why it starts so well, and an upgraded coil as well. Some other modifications I've done new brakes all around, and they're really good. Always nice to know that you've got good stopping power. And that's it really. That's pretty much everything I've done to this Land Rover Series 3. And now I'm going to tell you how it drives. I'm going to take the Series 3 onto a national speed limit road, and you can see how fast it is. So as I put my foot down, working through the gears, we're now up to nearly 30 miles an hour. Increasing a bit more, 40 miles an hour. And this is where you'll see the speed in this car really starts to dive off. You'll also notice that it gets a lot noisier in here. Those big security tyres, as good as they are for off-road, they're really quite noisy. And that gearbox whine, the harder you work it, the louder it gets. We're now doing 50 miles an hour, and my foot is flat to the floor. And I really don't think I can get much more out of it than that. So if you're looking to daily drive one of these, which I probably wouldn't recommend, 50 miles an hour is about the fastest you're going to get out of this car.
The steering is actually really light and engaging. You really can't switch off when driving this car. There's no power steering as well also, so at lower speeds it is like turning a cruise ship, but I don't mind that. Looking out over the bonnet is such a nice view. We've got the sun setting. It's such a great place to be, this car. What I love about this car is that when driving it, you really can't think about anything else. It takes you to a simpler time where no social media, no Instagram, just you and the car. And that's what I love about this car. The lack of technology. There's no radio, there's no noises, there's no beeps or bongs. It's just you, the car and the road. I'd love to know your thoughts on Sean and whether if you think I bought a good Land Rover or not. Also, comment down below your Land Rover experience. Do you own a Series 3 or other Land Rovers? Let me know what you've done to them, what you like about them, what you don't like about them. I really want to build this channel to be a really good community and source of information for people. I can't wait to show you this car in the summer with the roof off, when the weather's a lot better, and we can go on some real adventures. We could probably even film some road trips or green laning. Comment down below if you'd like to see that. That would be quite fun. What price is a Series 3s then? Well, the market for Series 3s has softened quite a bit in the last year or so. Back in COVID times, people were paid well in excess of £12,000 to £15,000 for a Series 3, and that was the higher side of the market for an unrestored one. Restored ones, you're looking easily late 20s, early 30s, maybe even more for a really nice restoration. I paid £6,000 for this car back in 2019, and that was quite cheap for one really, considering the condition it was in. Today's market, I think you can pick up a good Series 3 for, again, around about the same price. So I haven't made a huge amount on it as an investment, but it's paid back in dividends for the amount of fun and experience that I've had driving this car. So to be honest with you, I really don't feel like I've lost out in having this car. Big things to think about when buying a Series 3. Make sure you check out that chassis and bulkhead as I mentioned before. It's crucial you buy one with as least amount of rust as possible, because all you'll end up doing is spending so much money on chassis replacements or bulkhead replacements, or at the minimum welding, and that's something that is really costly and it's not fun at all. Other things to look out for when you're buying a classic car: make sure you try and find one that's had a good owner, someone that's cared about it, someone that's sad to see it go, because there's so many rust buckets out there. And with Series 3s, there's so many out there. As I said before, 440,000 have been made. See what I mean about keeping you on your toes? 440,000 being made, there's a lot to choose from. So don't get disheartened if you can't find one. It took me over a year to find this car, and I'm so glad I took the time to find it and choose a good one. I have still spent money on it. I've spent thousands of pounds on this car. You know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows owning a classic Land Rover or a classic car at the best of times. But what you do get is what you put in with these cars. If you're willing to get your hands dirty, you know, cut your knuckles, you'll learn so much as well with this car, or any classic car in fact. Parts for these are also another brilliant thing. Land Rover Series 3s and other Land Rover models, there's such a big community around them as well, and that's what I love about it. The following is just incredible. The amount of people that have come up to me and gone, I used to have one, or my granddad used to have one. You know, you can stop and speak to people for hours upon end about these cars, and it's just a really good part of a social club to be in. You get Landy waves as well. So people who might not know about that, but when you pass another Land Rover Series or Defender, they wave at you and you wave back. Another great feature on this car is it's got a really nice horn, the proper classic car horn, which again makes loads of people smile. So that's what it's like to drive a Land Rover Series 3. It's cold, it's rugged, it's bumpy, squeaky, always keeps you on your toes. But I can guarantee if you get behind the wheel of one, you'll have so much fun.
That brings us to the end of the video, and what a way to end it. The sun's setting, it's January 2025, it's freezing cold, but I've had so much fun driving this video and reviewing it for you all. Comment down below if I made the right decision buying this over the Mark 1 Golf GTI, and hit that subscribe button because I've got so many more videos coming for you and I can't wait to show you them. Keep smiling, keep driving. See you at the next one.